Welcome back to the Project Reinvented podcast. I'm your host, Lachlan John McRae. In today's episode, it's a deep dive into our guest, Cullum's life. He's a seasoned breathwork facilitator, unravels the profound benefits and impact of breathwork. He explains how simple breathing techniques can influence the nervous system and unlock emotional healing and personal transformation. Cullum shares his personal journey, shedding the light on the mindset shifts he underwent during his own path of development and reinvention. He delves into the crucial role childhood beliefs play in shaping our lives and explores the powers of daily practice in creating our reality. This conversation is more than just breathwork, it's a journey of reinvention. Cullum unfolds his story, emphasising the importance of faith, meditation and self-discovery in the transformation process. Now, for those feeling stuck at rock bottom, Cullum reassures you that you're not alone and you possess the innate power to change your own life. So let's dive into it with Cullum Creevy on the Project Reinvented podcast. Okay, welcome Cullum. Welcome to the Project Reinvented podcast. How are you, my friend?
Good, thank you, brother, and thanks for having us on, man.
No, listen, you've been inspirational on my journey, and this is one of the whole reasons I've started this podcast is to bring forward people who have inspired me so I can then try to help inspire others. Yeah, so let's get straight into it. We've got people listening. Now Cullum, you're a breathwork facilitator. You have your own business doing this. You travel around Australia, holding these would I say sessions or not so much retreats, but you facilitate these what would you call them?
Journeys,
right? Okay, so you facilitate these journeys. So what is breathwork? Because I hear a lot of it. I've tried some of it myself, but you go much deeper. You take people on a journey. So for those out there who don't know what breathwork is, can you explain it to the people listening?
Yeah, sure. So lots of different forms of breath work, different names. You may have heard of like holotropic, transformational. You may have heard of like pranayama. Lots of different names for breath work, but breath work is essentially you are using various breathing techniques, patterns, and ratios to get a desired outcome or response from the nervous system.
Brilliant. So what are the benefits to it? What does it do for you? How does it help?
So the benefits, mate, it is just the list is so long. Okay, there's different forms of breath work and you can get different outcomes. So the two types of breath work that I teach, Himalayan breath work, which is daily practice. It's a beautiful practice. Lots of short techniques, 3 to 5 minutes. You put them together and you create a journey. And daily practice breath work, only 10 to 15 minutes. You can expect to feel uplifted, motivated, inspired, energy levels going through the roof, and profound clarity and peace of mind, calmness. There's a coherence between the mind and the body. And then the other form of breath work that I do, the journeys, the deep dive journeys, they're transformational. It's one form of breath for a prolonged period of time, for about 40 minutes. And that really opens people up to have a cathartic release and release trapped energy, old information and data from the nervous system. That's big breakthrough breath work.
Brilliant. And what you're saying there is the old information. So is that what people are trapped in their body that sometimes is keeping them stuck? Whether it can lead to various types of illness or disease. Is it kind of releasing that and giving them a sense of freedom, something along those lines?
Yeah, 100%. They're like when you have an energetic release, it's a powerful activation, and it's different for everyone, and it's different every time. But it's essentially you're breathing so deeply that after only 10 to 15 minutes, a phenomenon called transient hypofrontality starts to occur, and that's when you are bypassing the conscious analytical center of the brain. You are bypassing the monkey mind. You're bypassing that constant overthinking. And you're basically just handing control over to the body. And the body is a phenomenal piece of healing equipment. Okay. And it just starts coming back to homeostasis, and you give the body an opportunity to release what is no longer relevant to you in that present moment. And a lot of that time, it is the emotional imprints that we had from experiences from our childhood.
Oh yeah, and it sounds wonderful. What's the kind of the changes that you've had when you've done this? Because obviously I've witnessed you on this journey, and I've seen you step into your true power right now. And obviously, from me looking out, I don't understand what's going on for you, but I've seen a massive shift in just in your life and how you're living your life. And it's amazing to see. So, what kind of personal experiences have you taken from it?
Yeah, breath work gave me the go. It gave me the drive. It gave me that let's do it energy. I'd already been on quite a transformational journey, and I suppose so much was stirred up within my nervous system, emotions, beliefs, this old data, this invisible data that's within the nervous system. And that is entangled with our thought complexes, negative thought loops, our beliefs, our identity. And what breathwork enabled me to do was to bring fresh energy into my nervous system, really just release the shit, that was stirred up, that I was processing, and allowed me to fully process and release and resolve some of the really challenging times in my life. And from doing that, I just felt so much lighter, brighter, and activated. I had the clarity to go without all the stories that I wasn't good enough, I wasn't enough, I didn't know how to do it, and I was going to fail. Those stories that we all experience, what I've found is they're entangled deeply on an emotional level.
And does that go back to childhood? These beliefs, is this the beliefs that we pick up when we're young children and we carry these throughout our life? Is this helping can identify them and not so much get rid of them, because I don't think some of these we can ever get rid of, but we can identify them. It raises awareness to them.
Yeah, 100%. And so something that's really powerful about the transformational breath work, about the deep dive breath work, is that when you're accessing transient hypofrontality, you're getting into theta brainwave state. And that's the brainwave we're in between the ages of 1 to 8. And that's when we created a lot of our beliefs about ourselves, the world, about others, a lot of our own self views, and just the way that life is. And so through the power of the breath, we can open the door again to the subconscious mind through the theta brainwave state and make change there. Another way of looking at that is that you're bringing so much energy into your system. Our breath is fundamentally a life force energy. Like if you stop breathing for only a matter of minutes, our body starts to break down. Our tissues, it's not going to end well. So we're bringing so much of this fresh life force energy into our system. It is the catalyst for evolution. This energy is the catalyst for evolution, and helps we're taking the reins, we're taking our evolution into our own hands and forcing the nervous system, the consciousness to evolve.
So now I can see why it's so powerful and why people are talking about it. Because if it can have such a transformational and it's an impact on you, and also you can do it from your own home. Let's rewind a bit. You spoke a minute ago about some of the things that you went through in childhood, that this helped release some of these things. What what kind of things are you talking about here? Is this just normal childhood stuff, or can you dive a bit deeper into that?
Yeah, absolutely. So like growing up as a kid, I had an amazing childhood. I come from a loving family. I was supported, I was nurtured. And there were still events that happened in my life, not that I remembered when I was older. I had a passion for cricket. I love cricket. I wanted to play cricket for Australia. I slept next to my cricket bat every night, and when I was in my early 20s, I was playing as you're playing a high level. Pretty much everyone else in the team was already professional. They were playing for Australia or playing for WA already. Not me, even though I worked my ass off. I was training twice as hard as these guys. when I went out to bat, I'd just get so nervous and so overwhelmed that I would just underperform, and I
Yeah.
couldn't manage my emotional state. I couldn't manage my inner state when moments that it counted. And when later on in life, I really put the join the dots, and I lost my father when I was 17.
Yeah.
And this was an event that had such a profound impact on me, and I didn't have any tools to deal with this grief, with this loss. And I started to bury a lot, suppress a lot. And the whole time, I was in a state of survival mode, constant state of survival mode, dealing with the loss of my father. So that is one of the things. Age of 17, lost my dad. My dad was my hero. He always had my back. And the age of 17, you're just like, oh, who's got my back? So that caused me to really, that one event just really had a profound impact on the way that I showed up in life, the way that I held myself. There's a number of other things, and things come up differently in the journeys, especially the deep dive stuff. You're in the subconscious mind. You're breathing and you're bypassing the conscious analytical mind, and the subconscious is all feelings. It's all emotions. So everything that we've buried and suppressed. And yeah, it's at the same time, it's beautiful. It's beautiful to get out of the mind, get into the body, get into what's real. And that's really what I tell people, is that breath work is a truth pill. And I lived a life of avoidance and distraction. I drank way too much. I become very self-centered, very, very busy, and found it very near on impossible to be present with anyone else in my life, and breath work has helped me to come back to my center. And so I can just be happy and peaceful in the present moment.
Yeah, I can see why that's a magic pill. And, I knew that you'd lost your father at a young age, and I could only imagine how much of a negative effect it could have had on, your life in total. Now, for anyone listening that might be going through a similar thing, they've lost someone, they've lost a family member, a father, what would you say to them, looking back, things that from hindsight, you're looking back and you're thinking, maybe this would have helped, or maybe I spoke a little bit more, or maybe I would have dealt with it. What would you say to somebody who's going through something like that?
I'd say to this person that if you really want to process this fully, you want to go through the healing process with this tragedy, this event, whatever it is that happened to you in your life, you need a practice. You need the tool to do that. Yeah, whether it's breath work, it could be meditation, it could be something else completely different, but you need a practice. You need the right tool. Breath work is amazing because it regulates the emotional nervous system. We can breathe so deeply that we're really handing over the keys to the body, and the body will help you to process those emotions. The mind, when the mind gets in the way, for whatever reason, it's trying to, the ego is trying to keep us safe for whatever, we end up suppressing and avoiding at all costs. And that is the main thing when I look back, and I realized all the patterns of avoidance in my life, and the person I become was just one big distraction from the truth that, I was, even on the outside, I was looking like I was living a great life and fit and healthy, where I was dying on the inside. How you going, Cullum? Oh, I'm great, killing it. No. I can't sit down. I can't be still. I'm too afraid to feel. So I drink and I'm distracted. So they're the main things. Look at the patterns of avoidance: over-exercising, drinking. That was my best friend to suppress. What else? Just being distracted and not being able to be present or calm, and also like checking in with your inner state. Like, are you in a state of survival a lot of the time, constantly in that overdrive? And yeah, and are you willing to do something about it? And the first thing about doing something about it is being open to feeling. Yeah, you can't heal without feeling. It's the feeling is that first part of the process where you can start your healing journey. It's a journey of acceptance, of understanding. And you know what? The nuggets are always there, mate. If you're willing to go through that portal and go through that journey, you understand yourself on a deeper level, and you start to broaden your perspective of why this thing happened to you. And you know what you realize, brother?
Talk to me.
It's all for you. It's all for you, mate. It's all for your path. It's all for your growth. It's all for you, and it's all love. But when you're in the beginning of that healing journey, you know, it can be really challenging, it can be really difficult. But the things that happen to us, you know, the struggle, the loss, the grief, it's just there for us to grow.
Yeah, I believe that, also. But the problem with, not so much now because there's a lot of awareness, but as men, I remember being told not to show emotion, not to feel, and like you, I was always trying to escape. I didn't want to show what I was because I've always been a kind, sensitive person, but I wasn't allowed to show that growing up. Not because of my family, but because of society and big boys don't cry, all this. So I would try and escape that. And that's what you're talking about. Alcohol was your best friend. And like me also. And what I've come to learn is showing your feelings. That's courage. That's you're stepping outside your comfort zone. And you're being okay with who you are. And like you said there, everything's happening for us. I believe that so fully. When you look back in your past, when you look at these difficult times in your life, do you see that these have been the times that you've grown the most?
100%. Yeah. And yeah, I totally resonate with what you were just saying about, you know, the courage it takes to express yourself freely, you know, because I was brought up the same way, man, to not be so sensitive, to not feel, to not all the rest. So I feel you there, brother. And it is so good just being able to express yourself and not give a shit. You know, that's true freedom. And the thing, when you're expressing yourself freely, you're not caught up in your head. And that is the true freedom. When I look back at my path, you know, the things that happened to me, once I started to do something about it and stopped, you know, there's a great word that you said, escaping. That is a great word. Once I stopped escaping it, that's when I started to realize that it was all for me. Prior to that, it was why me. You know, my dad's left me, or it's that victim mode naturally. Yeah. And things are happening to you, and it's through this work, when you find your practices and you start to rise up, that's when you realize that it's all happening for you.
I love it, bro. And what you said there, when you find what's for, like, I forgot the words that you said, but you practice that for you, because on this journey, breathwork isn't the first practice that you've found, isn't it? You've been on a journey of personal development for some time now, where you've tried other things. What are the other things that you've tried along the way? Maybe some have worked, maybe some haven't worked.
Yeah, I was going to say I was guided towards something that is really what is like the holy grail for me. And how I found it was that after a chapter of profound change in my life, like a profound awakening, I suppose, somebody said to me, they mentioned the words human, like human nature and evolution. And I Googled those two words. And what it came up with was Vedic meditation. You may have heard of it, or transcendental meditation.
I remember you telling me about it.
So yeah, it's a beautiful practice, man. Highly transformational, and really part of the path for anyone looking for a medicine that helps them to be, you know, calm, centered, grounded, release stress from the nervous system. I've just found it so amazingly powerful, and beyond, you know. So that was my first main medicine was transcendental meditation, Vedic meditation. You practice for 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes at night. You are initiated into this beautiful tradition, man, this beautiful tradition. And yeah, you transcend the lower aspects of yourself, the lower thinking mind. You have your own mantra, which is a sound, a vibrational sound. It doesn't mean anything, but you repeat it gently on the level of thought, and that takes you beyond the thinking mind. And there's lots more beyond the thoughts, and you start to access that part of yourself. You start to realize that you are so much more. So Vedic meditation has been my number one. And yeah, there's all kinds of medicines, mate, like shoes off in nature, beach, exercise. Like when I went through my shift, like one word of advice would be like, keep moving, keep it free, keep moving, keep pumping some weights. I just lost that drive to keep pumping weights, but I could have still stayed at the gym and done a little bit. And I struggled to get back, to that physical shape and tap into that physical strength for a while. And the other one being yoga. That just creates so much space in the body and the nervous system, and if you are somebody who is enjoying the gym and you go from the gym to yoga, well, that's just you're just a recipe to be a badass, man, because you're going to be strong. You create that functional movement in your body, and you get to really just be present and calm. So yeah, Vedic meditation, yoga, anything that's nourishing for the soul, and then breathwork, baby. That's beautiful, profound medicines.
Amazing. Now, obviously, you're at a level where you truly embody this type of work and this type of living. If you just look at your life, for the listeners out there, Cullum and his amazing wife Kimberly and our children they've kind of moved off grid. They're really living the dream. You've been doing this. So when was it last year you moved away from the city?
Yeah, I think it was a couple of years ago. Like
2 years
the time's
ago?
flying, but yeah, we sold our house, mate, and we thought, you know what, let's give these kids. We've got two little kids. Lottie, my little girl, is 7. Billy is 4 now, and I was like, let's just get these kids on the land, barefoot, and just give them the best childhood that we possibly can. Let's bring them up around nature. Let's take them to the local food markets. Let's just live a bit of a simpler life connected to things that were really important to us. So we sold up in the city and we made our way into the country in a place called Margaret River.
Amazing. And I love looking at the pictures and the videos that you post, because, you are what I would say, such an amazing father and husband. Your family are just beautiful. But see, taking that step and selling up and moving from the city, what were the thoughts going through your head at that moment in time? Did you have doubts and fears?
Lots, mate. And that's why you gotta have a practice. Like if you wanna follow your dreams, so much of your shit will come up, and I know I'm talking to you and I'm preaching to the converted about this, but it's like once you step off the path, that's when you really start to discover aspects of yourself that have been hiding away. And that's why it's so important to have a practice, meditation, yoga, breath work, for you to evolve these aspects of yourself that are afraid of change, afraid of the unknown. And they all come up for me. So what thoughts were running through my head? All kinds of stuff, that you're crazy, that you're going to fail, that, because it was totally against the mainstream of buy a house, settle in the suburbs, family, and then retire someday. And I suppose, yeah, it was, a real turning point for me in my life, mate, was when I had my son, and when Billy, we were finding out the sex of the baby, and we had the gender reveal. You pop the balloons, the blue confetti come out, and that was the moment that brought up all the stuff that I'd suppressed for the last 17 years about losing my dad. And after that was 2 years of depression. So as I started to move through, this deep, dark time in my life, that was when we just went for it. And that's what the depression taught me to do, is that if you got a dream, if you got something you want to do in this lifetime, don't sit around, don't mess around, go for it. So we did that. We burnt the boats, we sold the house, we crossed, and we never looked back, mate.
And you know what? It's amazing because I remember when you were going through a tough time, because it was around about August time, and I remember you going through that, and a lot of people would use that as an excuse to go and hide away instead of feeling it, pushing into it, going for what it is that you truly want. Because what you've often heard people say, your dreams are on the other side of that fear. I can't remember the exact word, but that's what it is. It's if you want to surrender, and what I mean by surrender is like give up on your dreams, then you can't expect to have a life that you dream of. But what you've done is you've, stood up and went for it and said, you know what, this is what I truly want. This is what my family, this is what's going to be for us. So instead of kind of shying away from it, you leaned into it. And look now, a couple of years down the line, you've got everything that you truly wanted. But what about other people? Did other people try and talk you out of it? Did other people try and influence you not to do it?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And that was something that was so interesting for me to witness. One major thing was that I stopped drinking. This is before I went on a spiritual path at all, or a path of transformation or truth. And that was one thing where, there was a bit of a line in the sand for me and my mates. That was the bonding. That was the thing that held us all together, was lots of beer. And so that was one little thing. And then when I went and told everyone I was doing this, that was another thing. And I was excited to tell people that I want to go and help people. I've just been through two like brutally hard years where I was, there was times when I was just lucky to get through one day. I didn't know how I was going to get through sometimes, and then I found the medicines, I found the tools, and that's what I really wanted to share with people, because people are suffering out there, mate. Like, people are struggling. They don't have the tools. They haven't found the practices yet, and that's what I wanted to get out and share. And overall, nobody actually come with me on that journey from any of my friends at that time. That was it. That was part of the sacrifice. Kimberly and I weren't. We just we had each other, and we had a dream, and we went on our way. And I feel like it's part of human nature that when there's that much change and somebody starts really shining their light bright, I feel like people want to mow them down or cut them down. Yeah. I don't know why that is. Maybe you can shed some light on that, brother. Like,
no, I think because I've experienced the same thing. People, when I started living this spiritual way of living, people thought I was weird. Now I totally transformed the person I am. So people did think, what's going on with him, and people maybe distance themselves. But I think it's you're shining the light on them. It's like you're doing what they know that they should be doing, but they're not doing. So they don't want to be part of it. So they'd rather try and bring you down than see you go and do what it is you want. There's many different reasons, but it's a common theme when I've spoke to people, when I've worked with people, that when they start to make these big changes in life, I wouldn't say people get threatened, but other people, they're not on board with it. And it can be difficult when you have your circle of friends and you've grew up with them, or you spend a lot of time with them, you're close to them. It can be quite hurtful, because I know it was hurtful for me. It really was, because I felt alone. I felt like I had, and thank goodness I've got the most amazing wife, just like you have. We've just went on and done what's best for us as a family. And when I look back, it's most of the people that I associated myself with, over the years, it's not to say that they're bad people. It's just I don't want to be involved with the kind of stuff that they're involved with right now. I live a different way of living. They've got their life, I've got my life. So it's actually worked out for the best. And I do miss some people, but it's not forever. We can still catch up whenever I'm back home, or I say home, I've been here for 12 years now, whenever I go back through to where I grew up. So yeah, I can totally identify with and resonate with what you're saying there, because I was going to say something and it slipped my mind, but I can't remember. It'll maybe come back to me. But when you're talking about the practices, this is what I come up against quite a lot when I speak about meditation, and they're like, I can't meditate. I can't sit there. I can't do this. It's difficult. How long did it take you to be okay with just sitting with yourself, and whether it's in silence or with a guided meditation, just being able to just sit there and practice, whether it be meditation? Breathwork's a little bit different because you're breathing depending on what type of breathwork you're doing. So for that person who's maybe thinking about it, but they just can't quite grasp it, or they don't have the patience to stick with it.
Yeah, so I took to it, man. I took to meditation. I was in a place where I needed something. I was in a dark place, like 100%, and I needed something, to just help me through every day, because I was just going through the lowest energy, and the thoughts that were racing through my mind were not were not nice or pleasant or anything like that. And it was, I just needed something to get a little bit of peace. So Vedic meditation, it's a little bit different to, say, guided meditation or just sitting in stillness, because you're repeating this sound on the level of thought. It's a mechanism for the mind. So even though you are sitting there, it's still a very dynamic experience, for what's happening internally. So that's the meditation. I really took to it, mate. I really needed it, but I was obvious, like I felt like that hardship was to lead me to this practice, and I found it, and it just fit like a glove. Other than that, breath work, and this is a really good thing about breath work, okay, is that people that have their mind is racing, they are overthinkers, that they cannot hit pause, they cannot get a break, and sitting down and meditating is a step too far for them at the moment. That's cool. Breathwork is a really nice one to try, because you can just breathe for a couple of minutes. It's dynamic. The body is moving sometimes, whether you're using your hands for a certain breath technique. Very, very dynamic, lots of movement, and quite activating, but then it takes you to that place of stillness. So if there's somebody out there that is searching for their medicine, it may be a form of meditation. Look up Vedic meditation. You might be able to find an initiator that lives locally to you. Otherwise, jump online, check out some breath work, and just a few minutes that will take you to that same place.
Yeah, and what I'm going to do anyway, once we wrap up, Callum, I'll ask them, where the people can find you, and I'll put links to your social media, because you're starting to do stuff online now, aren't you?
Yeah, that's right. So I am pumped, mate. I have a new breathwork app coming out early next year, and I'm just going to be pouring my heart into this thing, and showing people these techniques that are helping people to heal and transform their life. So I'm going to be taking everyday people that want to learn about breathwork, that they don't know the tools. I'm going to be teaching them the techniques, and also supporting them as they adopt these practices into their busy lifestyles. So that's what I'm excited for. It's all in the app. They'll have it on the device. And yeah, they'll just tune in. I'll teach them the breath, and all you got to do is just sit down, put your headphones on, and breathe. So that's what I'm excited for. And that'll be out early next year.
Oh, we'll get everything in the description here, and we'll make sure that we link it, because I did see you posting something online. I think it was yesterday, and I was like, I need to see what that's about, because since obviously COVID, things have changed drastically. People are starting to learn to do stuff from home. You know, whether that be courses, Zoom's so accessible. There's so many different things now. People are used to learning online, where it's not necessary to have to go to places. So it actually kind of removes some of the excuses, because people would make excuses. Oh, I have to go there, or I have to do this. I don't have the time. But if you can do it from your own home, then there's no real excuse, is there? It's, you just got to commit. Got to commit. So we're coming up to the new year, and people are going to have these New Year's resolutions like they always do. So based on your, you know, journey, when you started to really kind of dive into personal development, because I know for myself, I got carried away trying many different things. What would you suggest? What were the steps that were most, you know, I don't want to say easiest, but made the biggest difference to starting to create change?
Yeah, it's practice, it's daily practice, and it doesn't have to, you don't have to reach enlightenment within a week or a month or a year or 10 years. It's finding a practice that works for you and doing it every single day. And as you start to do that, you'll start to see your resistance to change. And it's not personal. It's part of being a human being, is that there's aspects of us that want to remain consistent. So you got to spot that shit and you got to push through that. And that's the change game. So find a practice and do it every single day. 30 days is all you need. And that's what I see in people that I've coached and taught, is once they get that past that 30-day, even if they drop off their practice for a day or two, they'll know to jump back on it, because they will not be feeling anywhere near as good as they are. So these practices is an investment in your nervous system. It's an investment in the way that you experience life. Everyone is chasing, so many people are chasing a bigger house or a nicer car or whatever it is to feel a certain way. Fundamentally, these practices help you to feel amazing. You're investing in the apparatus, which is your nervous system, the way that you perceive reality. This is the number one investment. The practices to evolve that, they've been around and stood the test of time. Meditation, breathwork, yoga. So find something that works for you and commit, and just know you got to stick it out, and you're going to see all kinds of excuses pop up. You just got to push through that.
Yeah, 100%. When you're talking about chasing there, I'll feel better when I have the new car, the new house, the new relationship. But that's just a lie that you're telling yourself, isn't it? Because it's like anything. You have that new car and the novelty wears off. So that might bring you a short-term, dose of happiness or whatever it may be. But to get that true inner happiness, there's no use looking outside. It all has to come from within. Would you agree with that?
I do, and that seems to be that's the play. That's the stage is set, guys. You've got a life. You've been brought up in a certain way in society, and you've been conditioned to value certain things.
Yeah.
All right, and then on the other hand, you've got this calling where you want to experience more love, you want to experience more joy, you want to know the truth of who you are. These are the questions you're asking when you're a kid, looking up the stars. And it's like, can you not get hijacked so much from what society is shoving down your throat? And can you inquire and ask yourself some of the bigger questions, like, who are you? What are you doing here? What is this life about? And also see what other people who have walked that path, get curious about them. And that curiosity may just lead you to, finding something that's going to profoundly change your life. And as you said, find that happiness within yourself.
Yeah. So what would you say has been the biggest mindset shifts for you? Going back to where you are now, if you look back, what's been the biggest shift in beliefs or mindset that you would say right now you're looking and say, wow, this is totally different from how I used to think or believe?
Yeah, there's lots, and I love the name of this, about reinvention, because you go through so many cycles of reinvention and transformation. I'd say the biggest one that comes to mind at the moment is, and this is the wisdom element when you start seeking. So you find the practices, and then you start seeking the wisdom that back up and verify those practices. And as you're seeking, you'll have an experience which verifies what the answers you've been seeking. And I've got something amazing to share with you once I've finished this. So the one that really slapped me across the head was when I was exploring the Vedic wisdom, and they said a rishi, and a rishi is somebody who is awakened, is enlightened. They're a great seer, that they are in touch with the truth. Okay, and they said this phrase said, if a rishi doesn't like the stars, then they can change them. And in that moment, the way that I perceived it, it just hit me like a stack of bricks, is that reality is fluid. Reality is not fixed. You are not your past, you are not your future. And that was finding out that I was truly a creator, and what I was focusing on, where I was putting my energy, where I was putting my consciousness energy, I was creating more of around my life. So life was organizing itself around me this whole time, where I had no idea. I was living, just a normal life, trying to make enough money and trying to keep things together, as you do in the system, 9 to 5, whatever it is. And then I was like, holy shit, I have so much more. I'm so much more involved with what is being created around me, and what is showing up as reality.
Brilliant, brother. That's what they say. Our focus creates our reality, isn't it? So what were you going to say there?
Yes, man.
You were going to say you were going to share something?
All right. So thank you, buddy. So my little girl, she's 7. She started meditating when she was 5. And she got initiated. That was a very proud moment for me. And she received her mantra, and she meditates every night. It's magic. And then yesterday we were driving. I was driving her to school, and she goes, "Daddy," I said, "Yes, love." And she goes, "Who am I?" And I said, "Hey." And she goes, "Who am I?" And then she said, "How am I?" And then she said, "Where am I? And how is all of this?" She's looking around at the trees and that. I said, "Darling, there's some great questions. They're the only questions you need." And I said, "Darling, this life is going to show you your mantra, your meditation, your practice is going to help you to answer those questions. And the more that you seek, you'll get more and more puzzles. And life is like it's a puzzle game. And the more puzzle pieces you get, you start putting it together, and you start realizing the truth of who you really are." And I said, "Darling, do you want any advice?" And she just said, "Just a little bit, Dad, because I want to work these answers out for myself." And then she jumped on her bus, and I was just like, far out. Like,
that is amazing, dude. And this is the thing. It's because of what she's seeing from you and Kimberly. You're providing that space where they're seeing what you guys are doing, because our children might fail to listen to us, but they'll never fail to emulate us. So this is why I find it so important to be doing this stuff, but also to be trying to integrate the family into doing it. Because my son Lachlan, he had issues with speech, and he went to a speech therapist, and I think he was about 5 at the time, and the woman showed him this picture, and she said, "What's that?" And he says, "That's a man meditating." And she said, "You know what meditating is?" And he says, "Yeah, I see my daddy do it all the time." And it's just these little things that they remember. They're like sponges. So if you're drinking beer, smoking cigarettes, doing all these negative things in front of them, then you're educating them that. But if you're meditating and doing these things, just like what Lottie's just done, that's just like unbelievable. It blows my mind that she's 7 years old and she's asking these kind of questions and having that awareness. it's it's amazing. Amazing, dude.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
So right now, you have just you and Kimberly have just bought a plot of land. Is that right? In
Yep,
Margaret's River.
yep.
So what's the plans now for your future? What is the vision that you have for what's to come?
Yeah, just keep it simple. Keep it simple. We're gonna build a little place on the land, and once we're kitted out in that, we'll look at building a larger family house, and that will probably become a breathwork retreat or healing room. Uh, that's really exciting and really important to me to provide this for my family. It's been quite challenging rent. There's a bit of a shortage with it, houses and stuff like that. And just along this path, I was like, you know what, I'd really love some security for my family, for my children, and that is that. Um, so that's to be able to have some land and be able to stretch your arms is just something that I'm just really, really, really drawn to and really excited about. And this land is just incredibly special. So we've got a lot of land. My mum put one on hold. My little sister put one on hold. A good friend of mine put one on hold, and then one of Kimberly's friends put one on hold as well. So it's going to be a beautiful little community, and that's really what I envisage is community, is being together, having shared experience together, connecting with people, and just enjoying people, enjoying living, enjoying life. To be honest, Lachlan, like that, the depression that I went through, mate, it got so cold, it got so hard that just to have the sun shining on your skin, it kind of just brought me back to what is important in the miracle of life. Um, like at the moment, we're living on land. We're in this really small house. It's got one bedroom. I've got Lottie and Billy sleeping in a bunk next to our bed. You know what? It's absolutely amazing. It is absolutely freaking amazing. Like I am just so blessed to be in this little place. We're on land. I got my baby sleeping in the same room as me, and it's just been this journey of just realizing what's important, and sticking to your values, sticking to your guns, and things. Life can be simple. Keep it simple. We don't need much. Seriously, we don't need much to be happy. We can have lots as well. We can have lots, but it's just about what's next for me is just being in service, also leaning in and keep forging my own path and showing up and brother, the real gift that I've found through breathwork is the way and the journeys that I create for people and the experiences that I create for people, for them to find their own power through the breath. And that's the multidimensional sound journeys that I do, and I do it through headphones. All right, so I'll tell you a bit about it, so that
Yeah.
hopefully one day when we catch up, I can take you through one and show you what it's all about. Okay, so we all, for these journeys, these live journeys, all the breathers wear headphones, and the journey is a multi-dimensional journey. All right, so I put all the music together. There's many layers to it. It's got my vocal guidance on it, and it's also got spatial audio. So when people are breathing, they have their eyes closed. It's a room full of breathers, and the music's moving around, and there's a breath audio to follow, and there's coaching and guidance to follow, and it's pushing. It's beautiful, man. It just creates this dynamic flow, and there's a theme to these journeys, and it's just something that I've really loved doing. I've really found my art in creating these experiences for people to really let go and to go deep with their breath, and that's what I'm going to keep doing and keep creating, and keep putting out. And at the moment, it's getting some amazing feedback, and people are having profound transformations and healings in their life.
I love it, brother. I love it. I'm just mesmerized when you're talking there. I'm actually I'm thinking about it myself. It's like, I need to be doing this. Now, just looking where you are now, kind of seeing those darkest days, did you ever imagine you would be where you are right now, living this life that you love?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
and that's one thing, mate. That when I reflect on it, as dark as it got, I always had a faith. as dark as it got, there was always a faith that it was happening for a reason. That I was being forged in the flames, that I would make it. Sometimes you think you're not going to make it through. You know, when the energy really drops out, the stories show up. That's when things get a little bit scary, you know, and that was happening on a daily basis. Underlying all that was this faith in my practice, in my meditation, and a faith in my journey and what life was showing me. So yeah, I knew I was going to come out the other side a lot, you know, transformed.
Reinvented, brother. And what would you say to that person right now who just, they feel at rock bottom? You know, they feel that they might have dreams, but they feel that they're never going to achieve them, that they just don't have it in them. What would you tell that person?
That they're not alone, that it's not personal, that it's not them, and that, you know, they can live a life that does not change. They can live that way till the day they die, or they can change it. They can change everything, and they can claim a life that is beyond their wildest fucking dreams, you know. And if they want to change the stars, they can do it. Yeah, start asking some big questions. Start dreaming your imagination. Start tapping into your imagination. Start dreaming. Start getting clear on what you want. Check in with who's in your friend circle, who's really got your back. Yeah, and start breathing every day. Start meditating, visualizing. Get clear on what you want. Get into the emotions of what it feel like to have that. Yeah, and go for it. And what you're going on is a journey of self-discovery, and you've got to be the first one to take that step, otherwise it will never happen. But the feeling of going through that journey and that change and that unknown, that is nothing to staying stuck for the rest of your life.
Wisdom, brother. That is wisdom coming from the man himself, you know. And that is probably the same type of advice that I would give, maybe just not as cool or as deep as you done it, but you know, you got to dream. But you know what I found there was just the faith that you had, just to know that it was going to work out, because it's so easy to lose faith and give up, but it's just staying strong, knowing that everything's happening for you, you know, and have that faith and go for what you truly want. You know, don't go for what you think is possible. Go for what you want, and then take the action. Yes. So where can people find you, Callum? I'm going to put some links in here in the description, but you know, is there anything you want to say to anybody out there looking for you or to want to connect with you?
Yeah, if you're on Instagram, check me out, cullumcreevy.breathwork. Jump on there. You can check out these live journeys I'm holding. You can check out what people are saying about them, and I also post, you know, free breath audios and stuff like that to get people breathing. And you can kind of test run my work from anywhere around the world. And to say that, actually, even though I do the journeys in person, I also hold online journeys. So jump on the Instagram and be kept in the loop for when I'm holding these. Join from anywhere around the world. You can find me on Facebook, and also cullumcreevy.com. Check out my website, and you can check out what I'm doing as well. Find me there.
And Thrive State Breathwork.
Thrive State Breathwork, baby.
Yes. Well, listen, brother, I truly appreciate your time today, and I truly appreciate everybody listening. And, you know, really listen to what Callum said, because I know firsthand what he's went through, and I've witnessed the change that he's went through, and he is living his dream life. And he's been on the journey with me, and he's witnessed what I've went through. So when it comes to transforming your life and reinventing your life, we know what it takes. We've done it. So please take what's been said on board and start taking the action. You know, it all starts with you. You know, nobody's going to wave a magic wand. Nobody's coming to save you. It's up to you to take that action. And thanks again, brother, and thanks everyone else.
Mate, thanks for having us on. Cheers.
I just want to close with a big, massive thank you See, Project Reinvented has never been about me. It's always been about you, the listener who's looking to improve their life. So with that, I just want to express my sincere gratitude to each and every one of you for not only listening, but your continued support. Project Reinvented wouldn't exist without your presence, so thank you. My goal is to make this as personal to you as possible, so your feedback is invaluable to me, always welcomed and always appreciated. So as we go on this journey together, remember, the art of reinvention doesn't always demand big, massive leaps. See, big change starts with small steps. So think about this. What's one small action you can take today that will reignite your journey of life reinvention? Make that decision to take that step. See, life's a canvas, reinvention's the art, and you're the artist. So start creating. See you next week.